All right, welcome on back, everyone, to another episode of First CSP, the channel dedicated to bringing you the first council shoulder patch issued from each council in Scouting America, both past and present. Today, we're going to take a look at Three Rivers 578 out of Texas. Council was originally formed in 1970 as the merger of Sabine Area and Trinity Natchez councils, and it is currently an active council servicing the Texas area. We head over to the patch table. We see the first issue is the T1, and we need to be careful and be able to differentiate the T1 from the T2. So we're going to kind of walk through that here today. T1 defined by its red border, white background. The T in Three Rivers Council is in line with the first tree. That's one of the defining characteristics. Also, if you were to measure laterally Three Rivers Council, that's going to be 75 millimeters for the council name. The patch itself is going to measure 53 by 127, and they do list it as a high arc, kind of similar to Game Haven's first issue, also listed as a high arc. I kind of wonder if they were produced by the same company, probably, as they do look similar in size to me, although I haven't compared those measures. This is a cloth-backed patch for the first issue. And both the T1 and the T2s are going to be cloth backed. But we're going to note that the placement of the letters from Three Rivers Council is going to change relative to the first tree, and that's the easiest way to determine the difference between a T1 and a T2. So this is the T1. Let's take a look at the T2. We actually have two different production runs from T2 to show you guys today. This first one has not stayed super white, but that's okay. The T2s in general are defined by their red border, white background. Now the H is what is in line with the first tree. If you were to measure this council name, you're going to find it's 85 millimeters, so a full 10 millimeters longer. The entire patch itself is also longer as it measures 51 by 133. T2s are also going to be cloth backed. Let's get the T1 up here at the top and compare it to this first T2 so we can see the difference in the length of the council name. Let's actually see if I can get those next to each other. There. So you can see across the 75 millimeters for this council name is considerably smaller than the T2. The pictures, of course, that they're depicting are exactly the same. Here now, the T on the T1 is in line with the first tree. On the T2, the H is in line with the first tree. Now it's kind of subtle to look at on this particular T2, but this twill is running from right to left. I'm going to take a look now at the other T2 that we have. Again, we still see that the H is in line with the first tree, but this twill is now running from left to right. So I do believe it is two different production runs that are both T2s. They were never T2 A's and B's. They were all just listed as T2s. See if we can magnify the twill here a little bit so you can see it. This one is running from left to right, and this one is running from right to left. Obviously, the two patches have fared slightly differently. The second one looks like it was dyed in some tea. But both examples of T2s for Three Rivers, and these are much larger patches than the T1s. T1s can be a little bit hard to find. Lastly, we have one of the S3s. The next patch, they took the same design and they just made it as a solidly sewn patch. This is actually an S3A because it has horizontally stitched background. They also have an S3B that was vertically stitched. We don't happen to have that in our collection to show you today, but it is continuing the same pattern. This one now plastic backed, that was in the first issues. Look at the comparison there. So here's the T1 original, and then finally when they made it a sewn patch, the S3A. But that is the first issues from a Three River 578 out of Texas. I hope you have found this informative, especially comparing a T1 with a T2 so you can make the correct identification for your collection. Hope you found this entertaining as well. We're back every single day with new episodes, so we hope to see you tomorrow for our next episode. But until then, hope you guys have a great rest of your day.